Hi, y'all. This is Kristen Chenoweth.
Hi, I'm Gloria Stefan.
This is Sarah Bareilles.
Hi, I'm Patty Lapone.
This is Lin-Manuel Miranda. You're listening to the Broadway Podcast Network.
There's a cat over here. There's a cat over there. And the wrong one died. And the wrong one died. Welcome to The Wrong Cat Died, the podcast breakdown of the catastrophe. I'm your host, Mike Abrams, and today we have another amazing guest. We have been working with the Perelman Performing Arts Center reimagined production of Cats called Cats, the Jellicle Ball to bring you a series of episodes during their run. I am honored to have Antwayn Hopper here with me today. You might have seen him in A Strange Loop, and you should definitely run to the PAC to see how Antwayn portrays Macavity in this production because it is a little different, and I'm excited to hear the take on it. So welcome, Antwayn. Thank you for joining me.
Yes. Wait, can I just do one clack?
Yeah. Ready to go. The merch is incredible for the show.
Thank you. Yeah, that clack, for those who are listening, that's the sound of a Per Jellicle Cats Come Out Tonight fan that you can purchase at the Perelman Arts Center when you come see us in Cats.
You have to come see it because it is the talk of the town right now.
Yes.
So let's start at the beginning. I want to know, because you obviously are cast as Macavity and you're a Broadway person. You've been in a couple Broadway shows. How much Cats knowledge did you have before this production?
You want to know something? The only knowledge that I really had was when I was like 13, 14, as we all were in that lovely world of community musical theater. I would listen to Cats, A Chorus Line, Sunset Boulevard, the list goes on. And that's as far as my knowledge goes. I was just familiar with the music. I knew that in my head, I wanted to be a Broadway dancer. So, we all wanted to do like the little bit of Cats choreography that we could do. But I never actually got to see it.
So you never saw it. You didn't. So you're going in with pretty much a blank slate besides knowing some of the music and probably a little of the dance.
I went in with a blank, clean slate, which is the best way for an actor to enter a process.
Yeah, I love it. So then let's talk about starting that process because Macavity is essentially the villain and has this like very interesting storyline in the the musical productions that that people have known for 45 years. But your version is a slightly different take. And so I would love to hear how you helped kind of work with, Bill and Jalen and everybody to craft how Macavity is a little bit different in this production. And I thought in a really cool way.
Well, I have to first say thank you so much to Lord Andrew Lloyd Webber for agreeing to, as a reviewer put it, Macavity's plotlet that has been entered for the first time in its history. And I can tell you, Andrew Lloyd Webber, he said, fantastic. And I gagged. He came to see us, I think 2 days ago. But all to say, it started with the workshop in October. It could have actually started with my audition as I sang My Way or the Highway from The Life. And I was very much relentless in my red suit, which is labels. I was relentless when I sang that. But what I was really after was showcasing all the emotions that a person can bring to a song that's vilified. Mm-hmm. And so I actually did this and, smiled and tried to emote to sadness as well as. And from there, when I got cast as Macavity in October, Jalen and Bill, that was the first thing we talked about is how we can not vilify Macavity because it's a black man playing Macavity. And I told them, I'm not interested in that. I'm not interested in that wait 8 times a week. I'm interested in a hero's journey.
Yeah. And it's really cool because you're in the labels category which is like for anybody that hasn't seen it, I don't think we're spoiling at this point. It's been over a month now, but
don't you spoil that moment, honey. Don't you spoil the Macavity beats. Okay.
I'm not spoiling the moment. But I loved it because I think the Macavity song is so fun. It's one of my favorites in the whole show. But I've always found the Macavity storyline to be this, like, as you said, vilified, you're going to be doing the part where you're the one that's stealing old Deuteronomy, and it's supposed to be always this like, you know, and I never felt Macavity's actual story is that like he's part of the tribe and he wants to be part of the tribe. So I liked your version of having that as being like you're part of the competition, you're in the labels category. Wow. I got a little like Canal Street in New York vibe, which I loved, because it's like it's not villain, but it's a part of it's a scene, it's a part of town, and it's part of this like it's kind of flirting the lines of what's legal. And that, to me, amplified Macavity's story even more because it brought much more of this, like, I'm part of the family, but maybe I'm the part of the family that's doing some things that are, like, questionable in the scheme of legality.
Well, in the world of ballroom, as Father Omari Orichi, which was his idea to have Macavity walk labels, I got to just say a big shout out to Omari. Omari really was the person to say this would do that, this would do that, because he is ballroom.
Yeah.
Okay. And as well as Arturo, the engineer. Now, I will say, when I first started, I was really big on, and no one hate me, I'm going to just speak from the heart. I was really big on him being masculine and strong. I wanted to build him off of my father, who did 3 tours in wars, and I was born in Wiesbaden, Germany. I'm a military brat. I like to pay homage to those that raised me in every character I do. And it's normally based off my dad or my brother, like The Life was based off of my brother. And this one I wanted to base off my father. And so we tried to do a militant aspect, or, you know, very strong. He's security.
Yeah.
We tried to base him originally off of a fallen angel in New York City. If anyone knows the history of New York City and the LGBTQIA, back in the day, we had a group called the Fallen Angels. They would wear berets, and they would make sure that those less fortunate to be able to defend themselves can make it safely from the subway to wherever they're going.
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted to do. But I wanted to say, we all do tricks in the cast of Cats, but the rule is don't get caught. And that's why I was banished by Old Deuteronomy. The Old Deuteronomy knows we all do tricks. Mungo Jerry, they steal trophies.
Yeah.
They do this, they do that. I mob.
Yeah. That's so interesting, because there is a confidence that you're bringing. Like it's you're obviously you're a tall guy to begin with, so you're up and but so you bring this kind of like aura to it. So it's cool to hear how you crafted that story with a personal piece that you can bring to your character, because you can feel that energy when you're on stage, and when you're honestly not even just on stage, you do a lot of the stuff on the sides and kind of like in the crowd and working your way around the whole set. And I thought that was a really cool moment. I sat at a table at the cabaret, and I'm like, are you behind me at one point? Like, I'm looking around being like, where is Macavity right now? Because, you're supposed to be the devious one.
Mischievous one.
Yeah.
I call it, I'm just emotional, and I have a lot of heart.
Yeah. So when you crafted, obviously, this is kind of like the backstory and the, like, how you wanted to portray Macavity.
Yes.
Did you all talk about, or did you think about what the rest of his story is within the tribe, or within just the general world that you're living in?
Well, I love you call it a tribe. As you know, my Instagram at Antwayn Hopper, the followers were called a tribe because my debut was Hair on Broadway with Diane Paulus, and we were a tribe.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what Bill, Jalen, and I spoke about. It's a tribe. There is no outsiders in this tribe. The ballroom scene, they are a tribe. That's why Laomi created the thing called nogging, because everyone thinks they can vogue, but no, doll. In the scene, that's called nogging. There's rules, So
that.
What we did, and I'm very musical, I went to Carnegie Mellon, musical theater major. I started from dum bum 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 bum. I said, oh my God, he's running from the cops. Perfect. Yeah. So I said, Jalen, Bill, can I play? This was day 2 of the workshop in October. I said, all I need is Demeter and Bombi Ballerina upstage and a door and a bag. They were like a bag. I said, just give me a bag. So I said, let's start. Start the music. Bum, 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 bum. Police, 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 police. I run in. And that was the first beat. And from there, we built. And I thought, there's 3 instances. The first one, I'm bringing Demeter's outfit. Second one, Bomb Ballerina. The third, me. So then, knowing that I walk labels, the story started to progress. And then I started thinking of those that came before me, like Kevin Ambiance. I'm a butch queen. I said, he doesn't have to be militant, or he can still be militant, but it's going to be me.
Yeah.
And that's where my Macavity came. And it's actually the first time where I'm able, other than a strange loop, I can give a little bit of Antwayn in the character. So I'm thankful for that.
Yeah, that's got to be so fun to be able to have this, like, to bring you and feel like one thing I've loved about Cats, and as I've talked to more of your cast, is it seems like the casting team and the whole creative team really cast people where your cat is partially your character. Like it's you as a person. And I think that's fun because there's so many times that you see there's, you're actors, you're paid to perform, and this is your job, and you are all talented and skilled to portray something that's maybe not you, right? Like that's what you're being paid to do and the skill you all have. But to be able to do a version that's kind of also like you has to be fun, right? Like, and that's what I've loved about seeing your cast is it feels even more authentic because it feels very much of a, like we talked to Emma recently, and Emma, Emma it's a full Emma in her 2 cats. And so that's really kind of cool to be able to see you be able to bring you to Macavity, and not just it being acting.
And I think with that being said, we all know Andrew Lloyd Webber is the undisputed king of musical theater. I feel seen by an art form I studied, and for so long, I felt that I needed to avoid certain shows, such as Cats, because I was like, I can't be Old Deuteronomy. That's the only Black character that I knew of was Old Deuteronomy, Ken Page. So now, oh no, honey, you can be in Cats too.
Yeah. No, and I think that as Cats has evolved, because, I think it's 45 plus years old or whatever at this point. And I think at times it was very much you need to be this body type or height or some type of, they had it. And now they're a little bit, I think they're realizing that it's more about the personality and the portrayal. And they're having some of that, which is, I think, really great modernization of the show. And then your reimagining is even more.
I think it's more than that. I think Andrew Lloyd Webber had a bit of God in him when he wrote it and didn't realize it's universal. And now everyone realizes it's a universal love story for you to fall in love with yourself, each other, and for some, reaffirming your sexuality and reaffirming that child in you that was scared to walk down them stairs or up those stairs, as Grisabella does. Now you can walk up those stairs with pride in your chest, knowing you are okay and more than enough. That was a fan clap.
We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be back for more of The Wrong Cat Died. So I want to talk about a different element of this, though, because I think a really interesting part about that is everything you just said is something that my show has been talking about with what I call the stage version of Cats, just like the one that everyone is used to. You all took a very different reimagined approach by sticking it in a different atmosphere, which I think is one of the most brilliant decisions, and it's worked, and it's been super cool, and even not being in the Cats costume has made it a different vibe. So I would love to hear someone who came from studying theater and from the theater world, what that education moments and transition was for you to learn some of the ballroom culture that maybe you knew some of, but from learning it from icons and legends, to be able to bring to this production.
That was the only factor in it for me that was going to make me decline the offer.
Yeah, okay.
Because when I started dipping into it, and shout out to Larry Powell. Larry Powell was actually the first one to bring ballroom to me. We were at Carnegie Mellon together, and Larry started voguing. I said, what is that? Then Larry introduced Paris is Burning to the campus of Carnegie Mellon, and the rest is history, and we were all, not Larry, but I was nogging and thought I was voguing.
Yeah.
But then I joined Cats. And when I tell you, ballroom is its own discipline. And I have the utmost respect for anyone in ballroom. There are rules, there's a twist. If your left's extended, your right's back. You're twisting across your body. That's voguing. This is nogging. There's no twist. You see?
Yeah.
There's so many on top. And then you realize, like for Omari started voguing at 16. At this time, I'm learning something. And I'm like, I got to learn all those years in 4 weeks. I can't do this.
Yeah.
And by the grace of God, they stayed with me. They stayed on us. They drilled us. But all I'm saying is, the only way anyone can approach anything you want to do, and I learned this from school, as I said earlier, is a clean, fresh slate. I was the clean slate, and Omari and Arturo put onto me what I could do. And a lot of what they said I could do, I thought I could not do. And now here we are, and I just sent Omari a message a week ago, and I said I didn't think I was going to make it. And thank you so much. And all to say, just approach everything you do, no matter what you do in life, from a clean slate, and know that it's going to be individually applied and made for you. And that is perfectly fine.
I love that message. It's such a growth mindset of like everybody can learn and do things, and it may feel hard at first, but if you go in with that right mindset, you will be able to tackle whatever you're trying to overcome. And so it's
Amen.
cool too. Just, you're learning something from legends in the field too, which is
Right.
I've always found fascinating. I knew very little about ballroom when I went to see the show, but I kind of joked I know probably too much about cats. And I found the ballroom elements to be fascinating. I just found it to be such a great vehicle for a story. And so, I mean, when you were going through, you're in the labels category and you're going through kind of doing your voguing versus nogging. I love the term nogging. How much did you approach this differently than you would a different show? Or did you kind of have your same process, but just knowing you're learning different elements of dance or different styles of what this would look like for you for this particular production?
Well, the good news is that some people know I'm a choreographer. I'm a dancer. I'm a trained dancer. My big thing at Carnegie Mellon was we must act through dance, voice, every single part of your body. So the element of Vogue is just dance. It's storytelling. Yeah. When they break it down, when they're in a ballroom, that's not choreographed. They're improvising. That is art. They might have had a breakup yesterday, and that is what they're giving. You know what I mean? That is art. There is no set rubric. It's just, the rules. But you have to be an individual. So I knew that this was nothing more than an accent for my character in the story. This is another extension of my storytelling. If I want to scream, stop. I can scream.
Yeah.
Or if I want to weep or put on makeup to tell a story, that's what it is. It's like sign language. It's a blessing.
Yeah, it's the visual piece of it, because there's a lot of people that come into, especially with musicals, you listen and you've got a cast album and you can listen to it on your commutes and on the trains and wherever you're doing, or just listen but you're missing part of the whole storytelling, which is the dance and all the interactions. And I think Cats does so much of it. And it's actually my next question for you, which is Cats does a really good job of putting characters together that puts these relationships in different parts that aren't necessarily front and center of what the audience is maybe looking at. So, we think about in your set with the runway and the catwalk, there's that happening, but there's also you on the side talking to Bombalurina or whoever else. So how much did you think about the relationships you're playing and the people that you're stage near and who you're interacting with at other moments, and how that also progresses the story?
Outside of the lovely Bill and Jalen, who I just want to say they are the best directors to ever work with. They are by the rule book of we're in this together. You have as much impact on this character as I do. There's no hierarchy, and that's really why Cats works.
Yeah.
They let us they met with us individually and they let us bring us to the role. And if any directors or choreographers listening, that's the way to the future, because I shut down when people go, you're this, you're that, you're that. And I go, and the door is that way, and I'm going to walk through it.
Yeah.
But when they go, what is your vision? What would you like to say with your character? So with that said, we all started hearing, and we had a whole wall in the rehearsal room where each character could literally tell each other their alter ego about their lives. Like, for instance, for me, I originally said my alter ego, another person in another world, would be the role of Ice Cube's character in Boys in the Hood. Meaning that he has a heart of gold. He has to do what he has to do. Don't nobody better fuck with my family. And peace be with you.
Yeah.
If the cops come, you all know why they're here. You're wearing a garment that I got you. I got those shoes. So who's going to tell on me? And that's Macavity. Mungo Jerry and Rumple Teaser, I got you those outfits. Demeter, Bomb Ballerina, I got you those outfits. I work at Macy's as, in my drags. That's how I'm able to do the things that I do. That's why I come on with 2 bags. Well, what's the problem? Who's surprised? So, we form those relationships based off of what we bring, what the directors are able to encourage us to build upon. And then, we all had houses. Like, there's the House of Macavity, which is Bomb Ballerina and Demeter. There's the House of Victoria Groves. There's the House of Dots. So then we had families, and then we started just evolving as a tribe naturally would do.
Yeah. So who all is in your house? It's Bomb Ballerina and Demeter. What about Mungo Jerry and Rumple Teaser?
They're in the House of Victoria Groves.
Okay.
We have a story, like, for instance, Victoria came to the scene, and I introduced her to the scene, but then she joined Any Dots. For instance, Jenny Any Dots in Macavity was once in the House of Glamour, which is Grisabella's house. Grisabella is Macavity's mother. Another instance is Monku Strap, Old Deuteronomy, Rum Tum Tugger, Jenny Any Dots, and Macavity are pillars in the ballroom scene, along with Gus. And so that's why you see a lot of the storytelling being done by the elders, as they call it, in the ballroom scene. And I like that. Yeah.
I love this, that you just explained this too, because one thing, as I've recorded with more of the cast, is I've been trying to figure out the houses, because I love that, like, element of, it's a tribe within a tribe, but you've got this kind of, like, that's the ballroom piece that you're bringing to the story. And I thought House of Glamour was brilliant. Just like, it's such
Isn't that brilliant?
Such a brilliant idea. But then I was trying to figure out who went to each house, and then, who is going to take on the Tumble Brutuses, or the Cassandra, I think, is in Jenny Any Dots', but some of the kittens, are they, like, trying to, like, pick their house?
Tumble Brutus. So if you come back, the costumes by Queen Jean, and the wigs by Nakia Mathis kind of lends itself to each house. So the House of Dots, what do they wear?
They have dots.
Right.
It's interesting.
Tumble Brutus is in the House of Dots.
Okay.
When we're doing labels, that's the House of Dots. They're wearing black and white dots. That's how specific Queen Jean is. I'm wearing something of fur because my inner beast is a lion.
Okay.
My hair has honey in it ginger, because I'm the ginger cat. We really went to the page to help tell who we are. And I like that. And that's why the fur is orange.
Yeah, I noticed that with Skimbleshanks, with the hair kind of being the same, being orange.
Nakia Mathis.
Exactly, is because you had to find these ways to still hold the cat's piece together without it not being with fur and tails, not being in the unitards. And I thought it was so well done, because you could always tell who everyone was in its own way, which is a hard thing to do. And again, kudos to the creative team who helped to find all of those elements for the Cats fans to be able to still feel that Cats moment.
Yes, and just real quick, Macavity is orange wig. Skimbleshanks has that Gumby, what's the word?
Orange and black, kind of like stripes almost.
The Gumby print, but it's a blonde wig with brown Gumby print.
Yeah.
That's Skimbleshanks.
Yeah. I've again loved all of this because it's just such a fun, again, interpretation and unique way to tell the story. but still tell the Cats story. Like I've said to people
Amen.
who go see it, if you're a Cats fan, you're going to love it because you're getting Cats. But if you're not a Cats fan, you're probably going to love it because you're getting something different than what maybe you didn't like about Cats, because there are some Cats haters out there. There are a few, but it's okay. Most of them have loved this production, which has been, I think, I'm sending anybody who's ever told me they hated Cats to your show, because I think that it eliminates some of the things that people usually harp on, which is like, oh, they're in unitards and it feels weird. It's like whatever the things are, which I don't always agree with, but you've eliminated a lot of that from the story and put it into a different world that is also a little easier to understand the story. I think the ballroom narrative fits the actual storytelling, because Cats has a very loose plot, and you all made that plot a lot cleaner.
Yeah. We have to remember we're angelical cats.
Yeah.
Without giving too much away, my theater father, Andre D. Shields, Old Deuteronomy, has managed to, along with Bill and Jalen, to have an angelic backstory. And I'm not sure how much of it I can share, but what I will say to you is, in that trophy instance, that's the Judas moment. And when Monkey Strap is wearing the wings, that's a blow Gabriel blow moment between God and Lucifer, low key. Now, this is not set. This is just what we're finding.
Yeah.
And it's crazy how it lends itself, and it's called Jellicle Ball. It's angelic.
Yeah.
That's the universe. It's bigger than any of us. It's a gag.
Yeah. Well, it is, when you look back at some of these 80s musicals that feel like how did they come up with some of them? Like you watch some of them and it's just, at its surface feels bizarre, but then you dig into it deeper and there's, I don't know if it was intentional, but there's a lot of meaning behind some of these shows that you can really find. And I've always found Old Deuteronomy does feel godlike in a sense. And there is that like omnipresent ruler of this group that has that, is making a sacrificial moment every year. So there is those elements, and it's super interesting to see because you can pull different things, but at the same time, you could also just go and watch good music and dancing and have fun in a musical.
Hey man, let's not forget it was based off the poem by T.S. Eliot.
Yeah.
So shout out to T.S. Eliot.
Yeah, the poetry. And that's where, again, your version, I think, weaves the poetry in together in a way that sometimes is a little bit clearer of a line, because the competition element is, I think, what I always actually thought the first time I saw the revival in 2016 is I thought I watched a competition. And so to have that built in and have it being a part of the story fit so well for me. And that's why I've been obsessed with this production since I learned about it 2 years ago when it was just a reading. I've been talking to Bill about this for years, and I was so excited to see it come to actually life and be on stage, because it's and why it's doing so well. It's, you're selling out every night and everyone's talking about you, and it's a deserved hype.
By the way, so you've had this for 2 years. How long have you had this? The Wrong Cat Died.
The show has been 5 years now, almost 5 years.
You're a gag. You know that?
Yeah.
You're attached to this show. You know that. You're like, it's a gag and it's perfect and it's just, see what I mean? It's bigger than any of us.
Yeah. And this show, my show came as me saying that I thought the wrong person won the competition. And it was like, that was my joke, was I didn't think the right cat went. And we're going to talk about this because this is going to be my last question for you.
Chris,
so we're going to get there. We're going to get there.
Ooh, you shady.
But that's my show. It's been about how I don't think Grisabella is a Jellicle choice. I think it's much harder to argue that in your production, but
I think it's Macavity.
Okay, well, let's get there. We're going to rapid fire. I want to go to rapid fire right now. So let's start. If you could play anybody not Macavity in the show, if you could go on for one night, one cat, who would you want to go on as?
Old Deuteronomy.
Old Deuteronomy. Yeah, I love it. Favorite and least favorite cat in the show from personality standpoint, like which one would you vibe with and which one would kind of bug you?
My favorite, low-key, is Grisabella.
Okay.
My least favorite is Rum Tum Tugger.
Tugger, interesting. So are you brothers in the production? Because that's generally in the other production, a lot of times Macavity, Tugger, and Monkish Trap are viewed as brothers.
Wow. And remember how I listed all of us as pillars? We're pillars of the ballroom scene, meaning like Arturo and Omari, they got respect for each other. Laomi, Temperance, they have respect. Sanaya, respect. Jack Mizrahi, Macavity, Rum Tum Tugger, Jenny Any Dots, respect. I see you. But I'm House of Macavity and you're...
Okay.
That was a fan clack.
Yeah. I love it. Favorite song from the show?
Heaviside Layer, honey, gets me every time. Or it's a tie between Heaviside Layer and A Dressing of the Cats. Those lyrics that old Deuteronomy says, it's bigger than any of us. It brings tears to my eyes as a queer person, as a Black person, doing this show in this time, thinking of, I don't know how I ended up here, but I'm so thankful, and I want to take care of what you've blessed me with, Lord, to the best of my ability, and thank you. And it always hits me that moment when I see my mentor in front of me saying, that's how you address a cat. And then we stand and we bow and we go to the back and we sing our hearts out what's on the page in the best that anyone's ever heard Cat sung. What's on the page? Legit, all black, brown, and a few speckles. And we're giving our hearts. That's what it's about. Integrity.
Yeah, that is, it's also at the end, right? So you're kind of like, it's the culmination of the whole story. And then your all's bows is a experience in itself.
Shout out to Cooper, who put that together on the directing team. And it's fun. It is so much fun. And shout out to Monk, who Strap, after singing the whole show, has nerve to give another 15-minute set.
Yeah. Yeah. So you've answered I've been trying to figure out the houses, but you've answered it. So my question is, if you were going to rename the House Macavity and kind of have it being a fun name that's more like the House of Glamour, what would you name your House of Macavity?
Well, it would be what it was in the workshop, and that's the House of Discernment. The House of Discernment, you best not be concerned. I said the House of Discernment, you must not be concerned. That was our original chant. But now it's Macavity.
I did, yeah. It's so great. Everyone's got to run to see this. It is so much fun. So, okay, this is the most important question, which you kind of answered, but I want to get detail on it. So I've argued 170 plus episodes of why I don't think Grizabella should be the Jellicle choice. And I do think it's harder to argue that in your production. I think the storytelling lends to Grizabella being the choice. But if you were picking, who are you picking? You're picking Macavity.
I'm picking Macavity because we see a hero's journey. Macavity's story is very clear. Macavity starts grand. Macavity gets scolded. Macavity loses. After he wins, Macavity has to come back and stand in front of everyone and say, I'm sorry. Mr. Mistopheles saves the whole world. Deuteronomy comes back, and I get to escort Deuteronomy out of that goddamn box. Gosh darn it, I deserve the Heaviside Layer. I should go up and walk. I should walk up before her, what I should do, but I won't.
You should go one night.
And just for everyone in here, I normally wouldn't choose my character, but I'm just speaking in terms of the plot.
Yeah.
We see that whole 360 and not other characters. You see that, and I'm blessed that Bill and Jalen allowed Macavity to be understood as he's been misunderstood for so many years. And shout out to Ken Art, the original Macavity, who came to see us opening week. I love you.
Yeah. It is so true. You get a full picture, which Macavity doesn't always get. Macavity kind of like, honestly, in the revivals and you play another character in the beginning.
A pirate, Bill Bellamy.
Yeah, there's
pilot or something. I was like, oh.
Yeah, there's more to it, and so it's kind of cool to have your full story all the way through, and being able to bring it full circle. So any vote that's not Grizabella is a vote for me. I'm a fan. My last question before we wrap up here is, as someone who, there's still people coming to see the show. It's extended through August 11th. What's something that you want the audience to take away from seeing this production, or the experience they're going to have when they come see you all?
If you come see it, being that we sit from across one another, if you can find, believe it or not, a child's face that comes see it, study that face. That's a face that has no judgment. They don't know judgment. And they're bewildered. They're just happy. And it reminds me of why I love musical theater. And it's a blessing to witness. That makes me feel like I'm doing the Lord's work, and I'm thankful for it.
Yeah, it's emotional. It's so true that there is. I've always kind of loved Cats that that there are children in there because they're just suspending belief. I've also felt that the teenagers shouldn't go see your version definitely, but the other version, it gets very sexual, and I think it's a little much. But it's so true that there's this, especially what the story you are adding to Cats by bringing the ballroom culture and this, underrepresented community and group and giving a voice to that, to see somebody who's seeing that for the first time or who doesn't know that and being able to see the audience. I actually thought the same thing when I was in the crowd. I was mesmerized by everybody around me too, having these emotional moments at different points in the show, because it's kind of like, this is the moment that hit that individual. This is the moment that hit that individual. And you could see what it was kind of in their own personality of like, this is what something meant to me. And that's something that's so cool about theater in general, and something that your show does a great job of by also bringing everybody around. Like, there's so much stuff happening. There's cats everywhere. There's people everywhere. There's an energy. And I love the encouragement to not just be quiet and sit and, there's an announcement in the beginning to say, hey, enjoy this, experience it, be part of it. And I think that's a cool element that you don't get in every other show.
The good thing is that you see what we soldiers of theater do. That's why I'm proud to be an actor, because I don't ever step on stage unless we're going to move the audience.
Yeah.
We're moving, we're changing lives. That makes me proud as an actor.
Yeah. So how can people stay in touch? I think you mentioned Instagram. How can people keep up with everything you're doing?
Well, for right now, I'm just on Instagram, but I do have a social media manager, and we're going to work on getting me on TikTok and Threads and some other venues. But for right now, it's at ANTWAYNHOPPER on Instagram.
Amazing. We will link that and link, obviously, how to get tickets still. Show's going through August 11th at the Perelman Performing Arts Center, the PAC. So if you are in New York, or you can get yourself to New York, get your tickets. They are selling out. They are hard to get, but it is definitely worth your time. So thank you, Antwayn, for coming on. It was so fun to have you and hear the full Macavity story and a different Macavity story, which I loved.
And that's how you address a cat.
What a way to end. Well, thank you. And thanks everyone else for listening to this episode of The Wrong Cat Died, the podcast breaking on catastrophe. To follow along, you can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere else to listen to podcasts. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, or Threads at The Wrong Cat Died, or check out our website, thewrongcatdied.com.